Glad to have you with us here on NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we are going to do an NFL free agency draft. We're going to take the top free agents, whether they've been franchise tagged or not already, that doesn't matter. We will take those top players and we will go back to the original draft order and select a free agent for all 32 teams. We'll get into all of that in just one moment. Before we do, quick question, though. With NFL free agency just around the corner, who is the best NFL free agent this offseason? Let us know in the comment section who comes to mind, and we'll get started with today's show. So let's go ahead and lay this out for you, how this is going to work. We've gone to the original draft order for all 32 teams, so everybody gets one pick, and we go off the current list of free agents where they stand right now, and we'll pick a player for every team until we get down to 32. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the first pick. The Chicago Bears go with Lamar Jackson with the number 1 overall selection. I know what you're thinking. Well, aren't they all in on Justin Fields? Well, in this case, I would see the Bears in a position where, hey, they can get a bona fide franchise quarterback here with that number 1 overall pick, and it just makes too much sense for them to pass up on the opportunity to lock in Lamar Jackson in this type of scenario. So they go Lamar at 1. 2, the Houston Texans go with Javon Hargrave, the defensive tackle from the Philadelphia Eagles, with Lamar Jackson already off the board. Then we go to Arizona at 3. They go defensive line as well with Dre'Mont Jones from the Denver Broncos. 4, we see our first offensive tackle off the board. That is Orlando Brown from the Kansas City Chiefs, ensures up that left tackle spot for Indy. What's interesting about this is something that actually could happen. We could end up seeing Orlando Brown in that position for the Indianapolis Colts, with questions about if the Kansas City Chiefs are willing to pay Orlando Brown the money that he wants. He did have a great game in the Super Bowl, but did allow 4 sacks this year. So something to keep in mind there. Could we see him actually end up with the Indianapolis Colts besides just this draft here? Where will Orlando Brown end up? It's your chance to chime in and tell us in the comments section. Give us a team, whether it's back in Kansas City, if it's Indianapolis, whoever it may be. It's our pinned comment today. Tell us where you think Orlando Brown will end up this offseason. Now we go to the 5th pick. That is where we find Zach Allen from the Arizona Cardinals going to the Denver Broncos, and basically is the replacement for Dre'Mont Jones in that position. Number 6, the Rams go with Marcus Davenport, the pass rusher from the New Orleans Saints, to shore up that defense. Really good selection for the Rams there at 6. 7, James Bradbury falls to the Las Vegas Raiders from the Philadelphia Eagles. The Raiders have some big questions in their secondary. That certainly helps out getting one of the league's best corners at that position. 8, we go Bobby Wagner. Although Bobby Wagner is better than the 8th player on this list, when you look at the age factor of where he's at the back end of his prime now, I think that's why he slides down to 8, but Atlanta feels pretty good about getting Bobby Wagner in this spot for their defense. Number 9, that is where we find our second quarterback off the board. That is Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, going to the Carolina Panthers. They've kind of gone through the quarterbacks the last couple of years, but now they give Daniel Jones a shot with this number 9 selection. And what's interesting about Carolina making this pick here, obviously you'd assume they'd be paying a lot of money, and with the questions surrounding if the Giants will pay Daniel Jones or not, I think what you're going to find is there's enough teams like Carolina and others across the NFL that are so desperate at the quarterback position that would be willing to overpay, that I think the Giants are in a situation with Daniel Jones where if they don't pay him, somebody else will, like Carolina, the money that he's seeking and desires, quite frankly. There's talks of him wanting as much as $45 million potentially. Somebody is going to give him a lot of money. Don't know if it'll be the New York Giants, but it'll be something to follow this offseason. With that said, are the Giants going to franchise tag him? Remember, they can only franchise tag one player. Is it going to be Daniel Jones, or is it going to be Saquon Barkley that they potentially franchise tag, or not franchise tag anybody at all? Let us know in the comment section. Y for yes, N for no, if you think the Giants will franchise tag Daniel Jones. Today's show is sponsored by Cultivate, the free browser extension that brings transparency to your Amazon shopping experience. Cultivate shows you the brand, seller, or product origin and identifies local alternatives that support local community efforts while saving you money. With over 50% of Amazon U.S. sellers in China, Cultivate offers a way to avoid trickery from the sellers and keep money in the U.S. economy. Cultivate offers alternatives that are on average 30% less expensive than Amazon without any additional costs, such as Amazon Prime. It can identify local alternatives that you can pick up the same day. Cultivate users earn free donations as rewards for using the extension, and the more you use it, the more you earn in donations by increasing your level. In fact, Cultivate donates 51% of the revenue they make on your purchases. So what are you waiting for? Go to wecultivate.us/chatsports and download Cultivate for free. Let Cultivate bring transparency, savings, and community support to your Amazon shopping journey. Support the show and download with our link. It's down in the comments and the description of today's video for the best prices. wecultivate.us/chatsports. We wrap up the top 10 with C.J. Gardner-Johnson making a return to New Orleans after spending time with the Philadelphia Eagles. He shores up that safety spot. Remember, they're looking for help potentially there. This would be a good grab for the Saints at that position. 11, we see the Titans go with the offensive line help to give the more for the run game for Derrick Henry and for Ryan Tannehill with Mike in that spot. You go to 12. And that's where we find Dalvin Tomlinson, the defensive lineman from the Minnesota Vikings, sliding in and going to the Cleveland Browns. At 13, one of the best corners on the market this year, Cam Sutton, leaves the Pittsburgh Steelers. He goes to the New York Jets with the 13th selection. 14th, we have the first re-signing of sorts in this draft as Jacoby Myers ends up with the New England Patriots. They get to keep their very good receiver who is looking to potentially take that next step to become one of the elite wide receivers in the National Football League. He stays around town. Another receiver, this time going to Green Bay, that is Juju Smith-Schuster from the Kansas City Chiefs, joins the Green Bay Packers with this pick. And with this draft that we're doing right now, we have to go under the assumption that Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay for all intents and purposes. And so with that, I think in this scenario, you say to yourself, okay, what do the Packers need? They need receiver help. They didn't really replace what they had in Devontae Adams. And, Alan Lazard, of course, there's questions about his future and such. And so this case, Aaron Rodgers gets receiving help. We saw what Juju did this past year with Patrick Mahomes. And if you're the Rodgers, if you're Rodgers and the Packers, I think you're hoping for similar success that Juju could do the same thing in Green Bay if that were the case. Who will be the Packers starting quarterback week 1? Will it be Aaron Rodgers? Will he make that return? Or will it be Jordan Love or somebody else? Tell us in the comments section who you think is going to be starting the season for the Green Bay Packers. At 16, the Washington Commanders go defense. They go with corner Jamal Dean from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At 17, the Steelers get help for Kenny Pickett on the offensive line. They go with Caleb McGarry from the Atlanta Falcons with this pick. At 18, the Detroit Lions, their defense, who was so bad at times last year, they get a nice upgrade here at the cornerback spot with Byron Murphy from the Arizona Cardinals. 19, he's not Tom Brady, but the Bucs find themselves a quarterback with Derek Carr with this selection. And look, I think that, when we do this draft, you may be wondering, well, why Derek Carr to be Tom Brady's replacement? In actuality, I think if you're the Bucs, you're under the belief that this is probably the best quarterback you can get on the market to replace Tom Brady at this point in time. That's why they go with Derek Carr here. I know that Derek Carr had a down year this past season, but this is the one that kind of makes the most sense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at this 19 pick of needing that quarterback badly. Say what you want about Derek Carr, but I would trust him more than I would Kyle Trask at this point in time. 20, Geno Smith returns to Seattle. They really like what they saw from Geno Smith this past season. He's likely to re-sign and get a nice payday and stay with the Seattle Seahawks and be their starting quarterback next year after a Pro Bowl season that included 30 touchdowns. Jawan Taylor, the offensive tackle from the Jags, goes to the Miami Dolphins. Tua got hit a lot this past season and gets some much-needed protection with this 21st pick. 22, Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacker from the Buffalo Bills, slides down to the Los Angeles Chargers and helps out their defense, who was wishy-washy throughout much of 2022. The Ravens, you lost out Lamar Jackson. He went number 1 in this draft to the Chicago Bears. And so you need a replacement here. Had to get another quarterback. And with Geno Smith and with Derek Carr and with a number of guys already gone, this is who I'm left with, is Jimmy G. If you're a Ravens fan, you're not too excited that Jimmy G is your guy here. But the way the draft played out, this is the best of what you got. And I would take Jimmy G as a starter over I would Tyler Huntley. Say what you want about Jimmy G, of what's gone on throughout his career, of just things being up and down. But what you can't take away from Jimmy G is he's a winner, and he's won a lot of playoff games over the years. That's something that Lamar Jackson can't even say, quite frankly. So the Ravens go Jimmy G here with their new offense under Todd Monken. Where will Jimmy Garoppolo play next year? Will he return to San Francisco as a backup? Will he replace Derek Carr in Vegas or go with the Saints or the Jets? Where will we see Jimmy G suit up in 2023? Let us know in the comment section below. Next up is Levante David, being a 30-plus old linebacker, finds himself slip all the way down to 24, but still a very good football player at Minnesota. Needs all the help they can get on that defense. Big Isaac ends up in Jacksonville, helping out the offensive line there with Trevor Lawrence getting some protection, and feels a lot better to have him up front there. Jordan Poyer ends up with a 26th selection from the Buffalo Bills safety, goes to the New York Giants, stays within the state of New York, and it helps out that defense there. 27, Odell Beckham Jr. The OBJ sweepstakes actually happened this offseason, and you know what? He ends up with the Dallas Cowboys. I think even though things didn't work out like they did this past offseason for OBJ, and I say offseason, in season, when he was trying to get a deal to join them for the playoffs, I think that with OBJ, what should be 100% healthy now, the interest, I would think, still hasn't wavered there. I very well could see OBJ still ending up with the Cowboys when it's all said and done to be another receiver to play alongside CeeDee Lamb and company there. Don't rule out this possibility of him going to Dallas or a number of contending teams next season. Where will OBJ sign this offseason? What say you? Is it going to be the Dallas Cowboys? Is it going to be somebody else? I think we will see Odell Beckham Jr. playing in the National Football League in 2023. I lean towards Dallas still, but what say you? Tell us in the comment section below. 28, we find the running back position. And this one is the Buffalo Bills going with Saquon Barkley with this pick. And, you know, I look at Saquon Barkley here with Buffalo, and the Buffalo Bills have had, you look at that running back position over the last couple of years, they haven't had that game breaker. They haven't had that explosive piece. That's been the one thing missing from the Buffalo Bills offense. Saquon Barkley could provide just that for the Bills at 28. 29, more protection on the offensive line for Joe Burrow. He's been hit a lot over the years. Dalton Reisner is a sneaky good find, I think, at that offensive guard spot potentially for Cincinnati. I think you're feeling really good if you get Dalton Reisner there. The 30th pick, the Niners add to their D-line. They go with Poona Ford. They take him away from the division in Seattle and add him to their arsenal, their rotation there for that already very good defense for the San Francisco 49ers. 31, the Eagles, they go the running back spot. I know they've had some guys like Boston Scott and company, but kind of like what we talked about with Saquon Barkley there, they find a game breaker in this spot with Josh Jacobs, which should really take things up even another notch for that Eagles offense. The last pick, the Chiefs hang on to Andrew Wiley. You lose Orlando Brown, but you bring Andrew Wiley back. Do you potentially slide him to left tackle now with Orlando Brown gone? Either way, Andrew Wiley, you can't let slip away with Orlando Brown already there. So with that, how did I do? Grade my NFL free agency draft in the comments section, A, B, C, D, or F. What say you? Let me know in the comments section of how we did with our free agents of putting this whole draft together. A, B, C, D, or F. Let us know in the comment section below. You can follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live. I'll see you next time right here on NFL Daily.